everyone. I'm Dane McAwee.
And I'm Nick Grunwald, and welcome to this week's edition of Leatherneck Insider.
Earlier this week, I sat down with men's head basketball coach, Rob Jeter. Here's what Coach had to say about the upcoming Summit League tournament. First off, I want to say congratulations on making the Summit League tournament.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
So, first question. You've helped guide this team to the tournament in a year of just complete chaos. What kind of adjustments did you guys have to make during the season?
Wow. Man, there's so many. I mean, I don't really know how to begin. I think first and foremost, we had to figure out a way to keep it fun for the guys. I think we had to. You really couldn't dive into everything that you wanted to do. You kind of had to pick segments of how you want to build the team. And I say that because the first 2 months was just all individual workouts. And our mindset was like, are we going to play? You didn't really know if you're going to play or not. So again, you're trying to keep it fun, trying to develop talent. But it was really hard to establish roles, really hard to establish how you really wanted to play because you didn't have the entire team together. So then we had 2 weeks before our first game to do that. So now the tough part about that is that you don't have guys that are, you don't have a starting five, you don't have a pecking order, you don't have a, this guy, you just don't have that. So it puts coaches in a tough situation. And I think it puts the players in a tough situation too. So there were so many adjustments, but I think the key was trying to keep these guys safe, trying to make sure we still had fun, but then figure out how to win games by also establishing fundamentals. That's difficult when you have a brand new team.
So you guys finished the season on a high note, winning 5 of your last 7 games. What were your keys to you guys being so successful towards the end of Summit League play?
Yeah, I think for us the big thing was that we figured out our personnel. We finally have guys in the right spots, and that's things that you learn early and more preseason games, more time that you have your team together in the fall. But I think more than anything, the team really has bought in. They've come together and they've accepted their roles. I think that's more than anything, that's what's happened for us.
So this past weekend, you guys had 2 tough games against a very good Oral Roberts team. Yeah. What were your takeaways from these games heading into the Summit League tournament?
Well, of all the teams in the league, that team there is probably the most difficult for us because they have 5 guys that can shoot it. And we like to throw the ball inside. Well, to do that, you have to have bigger players most of the time. So now they're bringing our bigger players away from the basket, and it was difficult. It was something that we had not seen, frankly, all year. I know where there's other teams that have 5s that shoot it, but when you stretch the floor with 5 shooters and then have the most prolific scorer in the nation out there at the point guard position, now it's a double whammy. So for us, believe it or not, our whole plan was that we have to figure out a way to outscore them. And we almost did it the first night. Second night, we were flat. And I think more than anything, mentally, we were a little fatigued. We put a lot on this group. They battled back from being basically knocked out and on life support, and we got off of that. And so I just wanted to finish that last game, just try to have some fun, get some guys a chance to play, and try not to mess with guys' psyches too much because we have some guys that can really shoot it. Will Carrius being one of those. He had a tough weekend, and I don't want that to carry over to the tournament. So let's kind of reset, give some other guys some playing time, have them sit on the side and watch it. So my starting group watch and see what's going on, and that's beneficial as well.
So the last time you guys played South Dakota, Colton Sandage came off the bench and kind of turned around the whole season for him and you guys as a team. Do you think this was when the turnaround happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I think him coming in and settling at that point guard position, that was the one position we've been struggling with all season prior to that. We just weren't getting enough productivity from that spot. We just weren't creating easy shots for others from that spot. And Colton emerged, and that was a good thing for us, and it allowed others to settle in their roles a lot easier. I think the fact that him and then Ramin Hinton started to play better, we were able to now have that 1-2 punch. We can have an inside game with Tamel and Will-ish, because Will still plays a lot from the perimeter, but he can also score inside. And Adam Angel, we were really heavy on just throwing it inside, but we weren't getting anything from outside. Colton was able to give us that opportunity, because now we have him there. He can really shoot it. Now you add Ramin and Will, put him out more on the perimeter. Now we had an inside-out game.
So as I said in the last question, you guys play South Dakota this weekend. South Dakota is led by A.J. Plitzwhite and Stanley Mude, who are the number 2 and 3 scorers in the Summit League. What will you guys try to do to slow these guys down?
Well, I think for us, the focus is going to be on the Mude. Mude is going to be he's streaky, so we have to get him not feeling good early. And there's times where he is just dominant, and he's just full throttle the whole time. We have to match his intensity and limit his opportunities. Unfortunately for AJ, he's down right now with an injury, so he's going to have to watch from the sideline. That's good and bad. A lot of times teams can rally around that. So hopefully it's not South Dakota. Now, hopefully they're not ready to do that, but it's a blow to them. But they have other players that are capable, and a lot of times when it's like us, we lost a few players there during that middle stretch, and we became better. So it's just a matter of how different will South Dakota be right now without AJ on the floor.
So the last time Western Illinois was in the Summit League tournament, they pulled off the upset as an 8 seed. Now you guys are a 7 seed. What do you think you guys have to do to make a deep run in the tournament?
Well, we have to get hot. Shooting is always key in the tournament. You have to be feel confident. I think we have a level of confidence going in. This weekend wasn't our best, but we know we can play better basketball than that. Matchups are key. I think that's another thing. And looking at South Dakota, we had one of our better second halves. So I think there's some confidence there now. We were down big, but we're able to come back. And we've shown that fight and resilience all year. So I think for us, if we can get back in the gym here, we can find our shooting touch and, get Will back on track, get Tamel inside going again. He had a tough weekend as well. As far as just being fluid, and then we have a good chance to pull off an upset.
Well, that's all I have for you today, Coach. Thank you for your time and good luck this weekend.
The men's team will face off against South Dakota in the first round of the Summit League tournament. Earlier this week, Leatherneck insider reporter Abdoulaye Doucouré had a chance to sit down with women's soccer coach Jose Primo to talk about the upcoming season.
With the start of the Summer League, there has been a lot of preparation for the season. I had a chance to sit down with the women's soccer head coach, Jose Primo, about their preparation for the summer.
It's just been, right now we're at the point where we have to be ready for conference. So our training sessions have tailored a little bit more into what our objective is going to be going into every game. We're working on our shape, we're working on our formation, we're working on really trying to just get the girls tactically ready. So we're past the point of trying to get them fit. We're past the point of, trying to work on their skills and that's in that aspect. So now it just kind of transitions more into tactical sessions. So we're just really trying to get them used to our formation. We kind of have a new formation that we're kind of working with. So just getting them as familiar with that as possible and just getting them used to the different types of patterns that we can play. We're still working on our defensive shape big time. That's kind of we work on our defensive shape a lot. So we try to kind of get the girls doing that as much as we can.
The women's soccer team is looking for their first win of the season as they face off against North Dakota. Abdoulaye also had the opportunity to speak with men's head soccer coach Eric Johnson about their offensive strategy for upcoming Summit League games.
Coming off with an impressive conference record last year, I had a chance to interview men's head coach Eric Johnson about their tactics he's planning on using against other teams to win the games for the Summer League. Here is what he had to say about it.
We've got to press the proper spaces, and compact our defense, and recognize who the dangerous players are on the other team and really concentrate on not allowing those guys to run free and do their thing. So that's always, the game within the game. Who's their best player? Let's shut him down and make someone else try to do the difficult work. And so we'll deny them space and hopefully get numbers around them. Attacking wise, we think that we can attack down our wings and we showed that. So, and then the other thing is, can we find a good rhythm of passing and move the ball quickly and maybe find that opening to get behind.
WIU men team next game will be in the upcoming weeks. Reporting from Leatherneck Insider, I am Abdullah Dukure.
The men travel to Omaha in search of their first win of the year as they take on the Mavericks. To the gridiron, Leatherneck Insider reporter Kylie Rogers spoke with football head coach Jared Elliott about this past weekend's difficult loss against Missouri State.
Western Illinois dropped a heartbreaker yesterday against Missouri State right here at Hanson Field. Silly mistakes is what gave the game away for Western Illinois. Here's what Coach Elliott had to say after the game.
No, I don't think we played very well. It's hard enough in the Missouri Valley Conference to beat your opponent, let alone get out of your own way. And we weren't able to beat ourselves today first. So just too many penalties, too many self-inflicted wounds, turnovers, just some costly mistakes, things that we got to clean up and we got to improve and we got to get better.
The third quarter was tough for Western. Coach Elliott explained that the defense was put in a bad position, but they still played their tails off.
Really encouraging to see two plays really where our defense made some incredible turnovers and we scored both times off of that. Very optimistic. I'm really proud of how those guys fought. We put them in some bad situations offensively, and those guys responded and found a way to keep us in the game.
Thank you, Kylie. Leatherneck Insider reporter Trevor Davis and I break down the upcoming UFC pay-per-view. Stay tuned for more.
Your vision.
As an economics major studying investment banking, I find the world of finance intriguing.
Our mission.
My professors are excellent, and they're preparing me for success in the business industry.
This is Western Illinois University.
I am a success story. I am a Leatherneck.
Western Illinois University. Our beginnings in 1902 focused on providing affordable teacher education training. We've changed with the times and excelled through the years. Today, Western is positioned for the next 100 years and beyond. Affordability of diverse academic programs, outstanding learning opportunities, and hands-on experiences provide excellent job placement for our graduates. This is Western, forever Western.
Welcome back to Leatherneck Insider. Saturday marks a big day for the UFC. Here to break down the 3 title fights is reporter Trevor Davis.
Thanks, Nick. Well, Trevor, it is a very unusual card this weekend for the UFC. We got 3 fights, 3 title fights, and 4 champions. Let's start with the first fight. It's a bantamweight bout between Petr Yan, who is the champion, and challenger Aljamain Sterling. What does Yan have to do to retain the belt?
Well, to keep it simple, I think Yan really has to keep it on the feet. That's where his bread and butter is. That's what he's good at. He's coming off a huge knockout win over Jose Aldo, who's one of the best to ever do it. And he's got 7 career knockouts in his 16 fights. So he's got to keep it on the feet, and he's got to kind of keep it in that medium range where he can really let his hands go and really let his power fly with those hands and with those kicks in medium range.
So what do you say that Aljamain Sterling has to do to become the new bantamweight champion?
Well, he can't really let this turn into a brawl, because if it turns into a brawl, it really favors Petr Yan, because he's got the power and he's got the ability to knock guys out if it does turn into that. What he's got to do is one of 2 things. He's got to stay in either long-range kicking range and use some of his powerful and creative kicks, something that's really made him really well known, or he's got to get in close and initiate clinch and initiate grappling, which is something that he's really good at. He choked out Corey Sandhagen in just under 2 minutes in his last fight, because that's something he can do. He can get inside, he can take your back, and he can submit you in a variety of ways.
So, do you think Aljamain Sterling will become the new champ, or do you think Yan will retain his title?
I think Sterling's going to win because Jan, when he's getting inside and trying to knock people out, he's got a tendency to kind of get in close and present clinch opportunities for Sterling. And I think Sterling's going to take advantage of all of those, and I think he's going to come out on top and walk away as the new champ.
So the second title fight on this very talented card is a women's bantamweight between the current champ Amanda Nunes and challenger Megan Anderson. Trevor, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Well, I think Megan Anderson presents an interesting challenge to Amanda Nunes. She's a lot taller and therefore a lot longer than a lot of the fighters in this division. So it's going to be interesting to see how Amanda Nunes goes about getting inside that range and generating her offense from the long reach of Megan Anderson. But with that being said, Amanda Nunes is arguably the greatest female fighter to ever do it. She's the only female double champ in UFC history. She's the only fighter, period, to become double champ and then defend both belts. So I think Amanda Nunes gets it done fairly easily.
So speaking of double champs, Israel Adesanya is looking to become just the 5th simultaneous 2-division champ in UFC history as he takes on light heavyweight champ Jan Blachowicz. What does Jan have to do to keep his title?
Well, Jan, he's got to use those body kicks that he used against Dominic Reyes. That's what really made him successful in that fight because Reyes is a guy kind of like Adesanya who likes to move around. He's got some fancy footwork, real technical striker. But Jan set his kicks up really well in that fight with his hands. He got through some shots, got Jan to shell up, and then he threw that lead body kick, and that's really what hurt Reyes. And then eventually he found some openings for his hands and was able to knock him out. And I think he's really got to carry that over into this fight against Izzy, because Izzy, he's really hard to hit in the head. He's got some great head movement. So I think he's got to go to the body, tire Izzy out, and eventually find landings for those big shots he likes to throw.
So Israel Adesanya is the current middleweight champion. Now he's moving up to light heavyweight. How does his fighting style translate from middleweight to light heavyweight?
Well, I think it translates really, really well. He said he wasn't going to bulk up for this fight. He says he might come in at around 193, which is well below the 205 cutoff for the light heavyweight division. And like I said, he's got great head movement, and he's really hard to hit. But not only is that head movement defensive, but he likes to generate a lot of his offense off of that head movement. He's moving, he's dodging shots, and he's finding openings for his hands. He's got a really great pullback left hook, which has knocked a couple of guys out. So I think he's gonna hit that a couple times in this fight. And he's still got that reach advantage despite the fact that he moved up to another division. And with Izzy, he's got a 2-inch reach advantage. So I think that 2 inches is really gonna end up being like 2 miles. He's really good at keeping you on the end of his punches, the end of his kicks, and I think Jan's going to have a really hard time getting into striking position.
With all that being said, do you think Blachowicz will keep his title, or do you think Adesanya will become a double champion?
I think Israel wins. I think he walks away as the double champ. He's one of the most technical and well-polished strikers in the UFC. He's really hard to hit. I think he's going to use that head movement when Jan does force himself to come in. He's going to use that head movement, he's going to get out of the way, he's going to land shots, and he's going to make Jan pay, and I think he's going to walk away as the champion.
Well, thank you for your time, Trevor. Back to you, Nick.
Reed had a chance to sit down with Chad Sorello to discuss the challenges this season has brought, and I sit down with Macomb head football coaches to talk about the upcoming season. We'll be right back with some more Leatherneck Insider.
Your vision.
My goal is to work at a top 100 television station as a reporter, anchor, and a producer.
Our mission.
Thanks to Western, I have a resume that would beat out most students from the top journalism schools in the country.
This is Western Illinois University.
I am a success story. I am a Leatherneck.
Taking me home, taking me home.
Here, I engineer the future.
Taking me home, bring me back.
Here, I have countless opportunities.
Taking me home, bring me back.
Here, I do research.
Right here at Western.
High school football is back for the Macomb Bombers. Earlier this week, I had a chance to sit down with 2 Macomb High coaches about the upcoming season. High school football is officially underway after being pushed back to the spring. We got a chance to sit down with Macomb High head coach Tony Weston and JV head coach Andrew McGackie to discuss how the season getting pushed back has affected their teams.
It's all timing. There's positives and negatives in everything. Obviously, COVID's a negative for everybody, but positive is we've got additional time to work, to implement, to get work in. So it's just something you got to take advantage of. You've got to take whatever the situation is and make it work for you.
Here's what Coach McGackie had to say about their preparation and how it's been different from past years.
A lot more remote things, kids working out on their own. This last summer, groups were a lot smaller with keeping kids in pods, trying to make sure that kids are safe and we're socially distancing and not overstepping capacity boundaries, that kind of thing.
The Macomb Bombers look to bounce back this year after a winless season just a year ago. From Leatherneck Insider, I'm Nick Root.
The Bombers will start their season off on March 19th against Bushnell West Prairie here in Macomb. Leatherneck Insider reporter Mike Reed had the opportunity to sit down with Chad Sorello, the Director of Sports Medicine, to talk about the upcoming challenges for the delayed season.
With the absence of sports last semester due to COVID-19, teams and athletes spent much of the offseason preparing for the spring semester. But with the ongoing pandemic, preparation is more difficult.
Sure. Some of the weekly and also daily protocols, we all have to do our daily self-health checks. We have to do those for the university as well. And, we let them know, if you feel any of these symptoms, and it could even be a stuffy nose or a little sore throat. Again, we want them to stay home. In particular, men's, women's basketball, volleyball, those are all, close contact. Of course, they have to be tested 3 times a week. Anybody that's a coach, player, student manager, athletic trainer, who's ever going to be basically within that inner bubble on that team, has to be tested 3 times a week.
In addition to self-checks, testing is also required.
Yeah, it has changed a lot. It's taken over a lot of my normal job, which is to take care of the athletes and their injuries.
Aside from the day-to-day challenges, travel could be the biggest challenge teams face this season.
I think travel is going to be difficult. We take a lot of buses, bus trips to our away games, and everyone on a bus, I think is a little risky.
With WIU sports underway, teams will face off-the-field challenges that they have never encountered before. If all goes according to plan, the delayed season will allow athletes to play their respective sports before the school year is up. In Macomb, reporting for Leatherneck Insider, I'm Mike Reed.
Thank you, Mike. Well, that's all the time we have here tonight. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram and like us on Facebook. We'll be back for another edition of Leatherneck Insider in 2 weeks. I'm Dane McAlee.
And I'm Nick Grunwald. Thanks for tuning in and have a great night.